What is going on, good people of YouTube? It is me, Chavez. I am back with another Prize Picks video for you. Today is Friday, Flex Friday, May 19th, 2023. We're talking NBA player props over on Prize Picks. As always, I hope this video finds you all doing well and in good spirits. You know the drill. We're starting off with a recap from yesterday's plays, and then we'll talk about today's plays. I got 4 of them that I want to share with you today. So if you like the way that sounds, stick around, drop a like, drop a sub, click that notification icon, get notified of all upcoming content and videos from me and my channel. And without further delay, let us jump into those plays from yesterday. All right, before we get started with our plays from yesterday, quick reminder, great partnership right now, great promotion going on right now with the good people over on props.cash. If you're interested in saving 25% off your first month over on props.cash, head on over to the website props.cash. Literally, that is your URL. Go through, take a look at the platform. Super easy to navigate, super clean look. When you're ready to move forward with your subscription, make sure you enter my promo code THANKS25 THANKS25 to get 25% off your first month of membership subscription over there on props.cash. It is the #1 research tool on the market. It is what I use to drive the content of these videos to you. I've been using it daily for the last 6 months, and I love everything about these tools over on props.cash. So once again, promo code THANKS25, get 25% off your first month of membership on props.cash. All right, let's get into our plays from yesterday. Who would have thunk it? And who would have thunk it? Nikola Jokic was the one to chalk our plays. We needed 6 free throws made. He went to the line 6 times, only made 5. Now check this out. This is how entitled we are. This is how spoiled we are. We demand perfection from these players. We wanted this man to go freaking 6 of 6 from the line. Perfection, right? And under any other circumstances, 5 out of 6 would be pretty good, right? Oh, that was a good free throw night for this guy. But we just needed that 1 free throw. So yeah, it sucks that he hooked it, but at the same time, he put up a monster game, and that was probably the one thing he didn't do, right yesterday was go perfect from the line. So missed out on a perfect sweep with that play, but we took the over LeBron James, 15.5 rebounds and assists, and he crushed that. And now my favorite prop that hit yesterday was Jamal Murray over 41 fantasy points, because I love when players start off slow and it gives you like that sweat and you're like, oh shoot, man, why did I pick this guy? And then they turn it on and boom, like a light switch, just boom, 23 points in the 4th quarter. He took the game over, and that game was close, man. That game was hella close, and they were down by 10 points at one point, 11 points maybe. Enter Jamal Murray in the 4th quarter with the hamburger meat popping out his jersey. I love it, man. Just took the game over. I love it. So well over 41 points in that game. And so finished the day 2 out of 3, 2-1 on the day. Not a bad day, but there's room for improvement, and that's what we're looking to do today with these 4 player props I got for you. Let's head on over to the Prize Picks board and we'll start breaking these down. All right, here we are over on the Prize Picks dashboard board, desktop version here. Man, I was thinking about this morning. Some of the worst advice I've ever gotten in my entire life was never trust a big butt and a smile. Terrible advice. Like, where's the fun in that, right? Man, yeah. Anyway, just a random thought. Let's start talking about these player props that I want to share with you. So we're gonna go with this first prop. You're gonna probably throw up in your mouth, but like I always say, swallow that throw up and hear me out. So I want to talk about a PRA play. I want to scroll down here to Mr. Blum 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 Blum. You will never find Blum 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 a hairline like mine. 12.5 points, rebounds, and assists for Derek White. I like the over on this one. Ladies and gentlemen, let's head on over to props.cash and we'll break it down. All right, over on props.cash, we got the last 10 games pulled up for Mr. Derek White. Currently minus 125 to go over this, 109 to go under. Look, Derek White, he got on track in game 1, right? I mean, he was going through it the last 3 games. It's not that great, of a performance in those games. Minutes were looking really shabby, and he turned it on in game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. if his shot is falling, there's a real chance that White hits this PRA, with points. But I think 75% of these PRAs can come from his points if his shot's falling. So in addition to his scoring, what we would need for this to hit is anywhere between 2 to 4 rebounds and assists. Now, the good news is in game 1, he finished the game with 3 rebounds and assists. And now that's a little low because we know what he's capable of, and that's exactly why I like this. Is there is room for improvement, room for positive regression here. So Derek White gives us another 3 rebounds and assists. He gives us 10 points. He's good. He gives us 4-5 rebounds and assists today. Gives us 9 to 10 points. We're good. And so I have a couple of thoughts about this play. Now, if White is moved back into the starting lineup, he definitely should clear this line, right? But if he continues to come off the bench, I think there's a strong likelihood that we see White play a few extra minutes. Maybe Mazzulla wants to go small ball, with this next game. Keep that extra shooter on the floor. When Rob Williams is on the floor, I understand that he presents a force in the paint and he grabs a lot of rebounds, but he really doesn't do a whole lot else. And so the plus minus on Rob Williams is pretty bad, honestly. If you dig into the stats, I believe he's like a minus 14 or minus 13 in game 1. And so maybe Mazzulla wants to go back to the the small ball lineup and get White in that starting 5. This might be the time to jump on board the Derek White bandwagon here, the train here, because he's starting to pick up some steam. You see what I did there? And maybe this is like the start of a nice little streak of strong performances. So super low PRA. We know this is not a PRA like 2019 and a half PRA. It's 12 and a half. If this were any higher, I'd probably not. I'd probably stay away from it. But 12 and a half, highly attainable. He hit it in game 1. I think he does it again in game 2. Give me the over. 12 and a half points, rebounds, and assists for Mr. Derek White. All right, play number 2. We're going right back to the well and drinking this water because it tasted so good in game 1. Bam Adebayo, 35.0 fantasy points. Prizepicks has yet to move this line up, and I'm just going to go right back to the over on this one. Do we really even need to go to props.cash to break this one down? We will. For those who didn't watch the prior video, we'll go back. Props.cash will break this down. Much of the same stats apply to this one. Some new information. Let's go over to props.cash. We'll talk about it. All right, so no fantasy point breakdown over on props.cash, as that's not I guess it's not considered a true statistic to track. But we can look at his PRA. Now, if you look at his PRA over his last 14 playoff games, it doesn't look all that great, 36%. But let's look at these last 5 games in the playoffs. So 3 out of 5 games. Last game being game 1 versus Boston. And he picked up right where he left off in that New York series. So let's just look at this. So 3 out of the last 5 games, he's gone over this PRA line. Now, we have to factor in the steals and blocks, in these games. 1-1, 2-3, and 1. Now, in 4 straight playoff games, Bam has cleared his fantasy points. He's cleared those. If you're interested in his actual history versus Boston, inclusive of regular season and the single playoff game, 5 straight games versus Boston going over PRA. And yes, he goes over fantasy score in all these games. Now, digging over on NBA.com, there was a comment left in last video asking me how I could, how do I know what potential assists are? Like, how can I consider that an actual stat? It actually is a stat over on NBA.com. If you go to NBA.com and dig through the statistics, you can pull up potential rebounds, potential assists, rebound percentage opportunities, and all these things. And it just gives you an idea of the activity level of a certain player. And so doing that with this prop here, game 1, Bam had the most touches on Miami, paint touches on Miami with 9. He was second on the team, only behind Jimmy Butler with total touches. He had 66 total touches in that game. Butler had 76. Between those two guys, they're giving you damn near 150 touches on the team. That's where all your usage is going. So Game 1, Bam finishes the game with 9 rebound chances, 88.9 rebound chance percentage, most on the team. And then this is something that is probably due for some negative regression, but Bam was a perfect 5 for 5 on potential assist to assist. His pass to assist ratio was perfect. He nailed all 5 of those passes, and they all resulted in an assist. So we shouldn't expect this type of result in each game, but it is very assuring to know that Bam has that upside in addition to his rebounds and his points. When we talk about fantasy points, we also need to consider steals and blocks. And as you can see versus Boston, he does a great job. Now in the playoffs, he's averaging roughly 2 in the last 10, 2 in the last 5, give or take. I feel like he's going to give you at least 1 block or steal in each game. And that's an additional 3 points. Now, what's going to derail that are turnovers. And there are games where Bam turns it over a lot. Good news is, over his last 5 games, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 12. 12 turnovers in 5 games, a little over 2 per game. Now, that's not just him having butterfingers or making bad passes. It's offensive charges. It's fouls committed, while he has the ball in his hands. And so it doesn't just mean he can't take care of the ball. For a lot of big men, you'll see a lot of offensive charges, and that also counts as a foul and a turnover. So keep that in mind. It's not that Bam sucks when he has the ball in his hand. It's just, things happen. So not a whole lot of turnovers that are going to work against us with this prop, which is, another reason why I like it a lot. So considering all that, positive history versus Boston, the fact that we're getting the same exact line that we did in game 1, go ahead and give me the over. 35 fantasy score for Bam Adebayo for play prop number 2. All right, we're sticking with the fantasy score for play number 3, and I'm going to scroll on down here. I want to talk about a fantasy score prop for your favorite, my favorite, Boston Celtic, Al Horford. Listen, he let us down in game 1 with the rebounds and assists, but that's why we're not going back to that damn prop. We're going to go with fantasy score. I got some interesting notes on this one I want to share with you. We're heading over to props.cash, and we'll break it down. All right, checking out Al Horford's game log over on props.cash. Once again, fantasy score is not presented here on props.cash. And maybe I should ask the good people over at props.cash when fantasy score will be included as a prop, as a stat here. But right now it's not. So, we piece it together. We look at individual lines here. So let's look at Al Horford versus Miami, that last game versus Miami. So points, rebounds, and assists, he finished with 15. Now, that's a good indication sometimes of a player's, overall performance. But something Al Horford has been doing on the reg, not necessarily against Miami because he only has 1 game versus Miami, but in the playoffs, he has been stealing and blocking and stealing in the playoffs. Look at this, man. He's averaging 4 over his last 5, 4 over his last 10, 3 versus Miami. This is the difference between the PRA and the fantasy score, and he's been doing it on the low. We're so consumed with him not hitting his rebounds and assists, or him, not going over his point prop, that we're missing out on some really, really good production here from Al Horford. Now, with his fantasy points, I do like looking at the difference between halves. And I was really, really pleased to find out that Horford is very consistent half to half, averaging 15.2 fantasy points in the first half over his last 5 games, and then averaging 15.18 fantasy points in the second half over his last 5 games. So he's doing really good things throughout the course of the game. He did end the game 1 with 26.2 fantasy points. So he did not hit his rebounds and assist prop, but he did enough to go over his fantasy point prop of 25. That's his prop today. I expect another performance like this for Al Horford. Fantasy scores are probably some of the ugliest props you can play because you just piece a bunch of stuff together. But at the end of the day, if it adds up to what you need it to add up, I don't care what it looks like as long as it works. Al Horford is that type of player. It's never pretty. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it's not. Never pretty. He's not going to wow you with style points. He's just going to go out there and do his thing, and before you know it, he's over his fantasy score. Give me the over on this one. 25 fantasy points for Al Horford as play number 3. All right, for play number 4, I want to talk about Jaylen Brown. I like his PRA here, and when we pull up his game logs, you're going to want to punch your screen, but that's okay. Don't punch your screen. Let's talk about the over 34.5 PRA for Jaylen Brown. We're headed back to props.cash so we can break it down. All right, Jaylen Brown's playoff game log looks doesn't look all that great, right? 43% of the time he's gone over this. But let's look at these series, okay, as chapters to a book. Okay, first chapter versus Atlanta, 4 out of 6 games he cleared this line. Goes into the second round versus Philly, only clears it 1 time. Then comes into this Miami series, and he is now 1 for 1. Ladies and gentlemen, it is so easy to look at the previous round and just accept or just try to, predict that this is going to keep happening. He did it 4 games straight. I'm sure many people took the under on his PRA in game 1, and it didn't work out for them. It's so important to just be able to separate series after series, because these teams are not the same. Talent level is not the same. Personnel, coaching, home and away atmosphere, not the same. And so you have to factor these things in and just understand that each game is a different game. Each series is a different series that brings new theories. And now this could be a series where Jaylen Brown thrives in, much like he did in the Atlanta series versus what he did in the Philly series. Now, looking at the individual lines here, I don't feel comfortable taking any of his individual lines. Like, I don't feel comfortable taking his points because, as you can see, he fell short of this in game 1, but still managed to go over both fantasy and PRA. Looking at his rebounds, in my opinion, he overperformed. He outperformed his average, which there's room for some negative regression. But even with that being said, we shouldn't expect 9 rebounds from him every game. Tatum should dig into this a little bit in game 2, but 6, he's been hitting 6 on the regular throughout the entire playoffs. So 6 is a strong number for him. 6 rebounds right there. Now the assist, we saw that go up a little bit from his previous couple games versus Philly. Overall, he's giving you 4 assists a game. Overall, he had 14 rebounds and assists in that first game. Sometimes these lines are going to be super close and tight, especially when there's one game on the slate. Prizepicks can just put the clamps on these lines and not give you a whole lot of wiggle room. So it's really important to do this research and dig in and try to find any sort of edge. Try to find any sort of statistic that'll support your over and under theory. My theory is that he goes over this game. Again, he makes it 2 games in a row versus Miami. Jaylen Brown, 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists for our final play of the day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let us break these. Let us recap these 4 plays, I should say. We got Derek White over 12.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Bam Adebayo over 35 fantasy score. Al Horford over 25 fantasy score. And Jaylen Brown over 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Thank you all so much for stopping by the channel, checking this video out. Drop a comment below letting me know what you like on the Prizepicks board, as well as your thoughts on these player props. Real quick, listen, hey, I know I'm long-winded at times, and you want me to get right to the point with some of these picks, and that's exactly why I provide chapters in the description of each video. You have the opportunity and the power to move past certain points in the video and just get right to the picks. Just take what you want and leave the rest behind. Let me know if you have any questions about those and how those chapters work. Leave a comment for me and I'll be happy to kind of explain all that to you. But best of luck to you all today. Should you tell any of these plays, drop me a comment below letting me know. And until tomorrow's NBA playoff Prizepicks video, Chavez is out.